Dear brothers and sisters, the Feast of Pentecost, or the Feast of Weeks, is the second of the three great Jewish festivals. Its name signifies that it concludes the period of 7 weeks, which began with the presentation of the first sheaf of the barley harvest during the Passover celebration. Originally, the festival was the time when the appropriate rituals and ceremony, the first fruits of the corn harvest, the last Palestinian crop to ripen, were formally dedicated. So the harvest feast of Pentecost provided the ideal setting for the public manifestation of the outpouring of the Holy Spirit. So during the festival of harvest, all the Jews from the diaspora came to Jerusalem. And it was also a fitting divine strategy. The people who witnessed the fantastic event and had put their trust in the apostolic preaching and committed themselves to Christ would nonetheless be its ambassadors. So it was in the upper room, closed room, along with Mother Mary to lead them. The apostles, disciples of Jesus were frightened and were hiding behind the door in the room. And there, as you heard, Jesus enters the room. Of course, he was resurrected, as he already ascended into heaven. So his body was different from that which was a resuscitated body, nor was it a body brought alive. It was a resurrected body, and he could enter through the walls, he could enter closed doors. So he enters the room and outpours the Holy Spirit on the apostles, and it was physically seen in the form of tongue of fire. And when they received the Holy Spirit, they were speaking in tongues, different languages of their own region. The Medes, the Parthians. And then the people said, these are Galileans. How come they speak different languages? So this is also the phenomenon known as speaking in tongues, which occurs as a result of being filled with the Holy Spirit. And Jesus had told his apostles and disciples, wait there in Jerusalem till the Father gives you his promise. Till you receive his promise, don't move away. And so this was the day which they received the promise of the Father, the Holy Spirit. And now once they receive the Holy Spirit, filled with the spirit of fire, they are ready to go to any part of the world. They are ready to travel to any corner of the world. And the effect of the receiving of the Holy Spirit is the sermon of Saint Peter. That day he converted 3,000 people. Like all the harvest feasts, it was a joyful occasion. And what message do we get from this Feast of Pentecost? The symbol of the closed doors. We keep our doors shut, closed or locked. It could be for various reasons. Some of them are we want to protect our possessions or goods. We want privacy, or we want no intrusion, or we are afraid of thieves. So closed doors figure significantly in St. John's account of the first uncertain days following the resurrection. In the evening of the first day of the week, the doors were closed in the room where the disciples were for fear of the Jews. They have seen what the Jews have done to their leader, their guru. They crucified him, they killed him, and now they are after them. So the detail is repeated in the Acts of the Apostles. And as Pentecost approached, the followers of Christ were hidden from the world behind the doors of their meeting room. Closed doors is a powerful image of our own experience of our life. We long for the freedom to reach out, but we are fearful. We want to go and make peace with someone whom we have seriously offended. But we are afraid that our pride will be hurt. We want to forgive someone who has deeply hurt us. But we are afraid that the person will take us for granted and exploit us further. Our generous gesture. We want to go to a neighbor whose family is starving and share with them with what we have. But we are afraid that we will not have enough left for our own family's future needs. We want to go and make peace between two communities who are fighting, but we are afraid that our involvement will get us into deeper troubles. We want to speak against injustice done to people of a particular caste, but we are afraid we will lose favor with the people of rank, power, and money. We are afraid of rejection. We are afraid of failure. We are afraid of being misunderstood. We fear that life will slam the doors in our faces, and so we take refuge behind our fears. And in so doing, we take refuge behind closed doors of our minds. Like the first disciples, we hide behind our fears, and so doing, we create our own darkness. With doors closed, we think we are safe. But with the passage of time, we realize that we are going nowhere. The doors that promise safety become our prisons. But we know what happened to the disciples when the Spirit came upon them at Pentecost. It opened the doors of their fearfulness. As the apostles waited, locked away in their fears, they experienced a stirring within themselves. The powerful wind that filled the house stirred the uncertainty that had paralyzed their hearts. The darkness that had filled their minds dissolved before a light which gave direction to their lives. The Spirit enabled them both to understand, to be understood. They began to speak of love that they had known with Jesus Christ and were immediately understood. The divisions which had divided the peoples no longer stood in the way. Parthians, Medes, and Elamites were no longer conscious of their differences which drove them apart. Now they were united in a single longing expressed in the language of love, which every nation, every heart can understand. So with the receiving of the Holy Spirit, we get the power to forgive ourselves, to forgive others. We have the power to express our compassion and love for others at our home place, at our workplace. The Holy Spirit encourages us to build on the positive talents, gifts we receive from God. God does not enjoy our sinfulness, putting us in misery, seeing us live a miserable life. We ourselves who put ourselves in misery by not accepting God's love and God's purpose for us. If we have this sin of pride, you have to counteract it by being humble, reach out to others, help others, and you will be happy in turn. Or the other way around, you feel miserable, you feel you are nobody, reach out to others, give your love, compassion, forgiveness, and ask them to appreciate you for that. And you will experience heaven here on earth. So that's what God does for each one of us through the Holy Spirit. He sees that we live a happy life. And for that we have to cooperate with God's love and mercy by doing good, by promoting the good values, the good in us. And then you will see here, enjoy heaven here on earth. And so the feast of Pentecost is the preparation which comes to an end with the Easter season. We too are ready to begin our great journey. The church has done her part and enabled us to journey ahead through the celebration of the Paschal events. So with the assurance that we make that journey empowered by the Holy Spirit, makes the journey light and fruitful.